So warm welcome to Sporten TV. I'm your host Molo Collins, and of course this is Sporten TV, your number one leading sports channel. And yes, we are in the UEFA Champions League semi-final, second leg, pitting PSG against Arsenal, a match which will be played in the Parc de France. The City of Love is going to be the host of this very crucial match, pitting Arsenal against PSG. And remember, in the first leg of this tie, it ended in PSG winning the match by 1 goal margin, which automatically gives them an advantage between Arsenal and them, and it will be Mikel Arteta trying to overturn the deficit that he had at Emirates Stadium. And of course his nemesis, that is Luis Enrique, will be trying all he can to make sure that PSG are in the finals of this year's elite competition. And of course the other semi-final, of course, pitting Inter Milan against Barcelona, which also ended in a stalemate of 3-3. Very interesting times in the world of football, and especially this time round in the UEFA Champions League. Well, before we move on, remember to view, like, subscribe and share, and you can also drop a comment on the comment section down below. Let's get interactive across all social media platforms, and on Facebook I'm at Molo Collins. Well, with all that said and done, let's get the show started. A very interesting match pitting Luis Enrique against Arteta. As you can see, Enrique is a very experienced tactician, a very experienced gaffer compared to Mikel Arteta. Remember that Enrique has managed to win the UEFA Champions League when he was at the reign at Barcelona, and Mikel Arteta has not won this competition, and Arsenal in general has never won this competition. And so many people, especially the ardent Arsenal fans, are very interested to see how things are going to unfold and how Arsenal is going to cope with PSG at their backyard. Remember, PSG have already been crowned the champions, and the trophy is already theirs. And remember, this weekend Luis Enrique managed to make like 10 changes in the side that played during the weekend, and on the other side Mikel Arteta only managed to rest Timber, and the rest of them had a field day to play. But Bournemouth managed to defeat Arsenal in that tie, putting a lot of pressure to Spaniard Mikel Arteta, who is going under a lot of pressure to try and overturn the results in this match. Well, Thomas Partey is making a comeback in this very important match, and I think if Partey is coming back, then Merino will have to shift to that tip of the attack to try and get the goals that the Arsenal may be needing in this very crucial match. Remember, in that match Arsenal was not really good, and they really struggled against PSG, which is very unlike them, because if we go back a bit and try and compare the match that Arsenal played against the 15-time champions, that is Real Madrid, it's a very big contrast, and you can see the difference. But many are pitting, if Partey will be available, then that midfield will be up and running, because now it will give the captain, the skipper, that is Martin Odegaard, the room to roam freely. And of course Declan Rice was phenomenal against Real Madrid in the quarterfinals to try and get those crucial goals. Well, of course, let's move on to PSG and the very informed Dembele, who really hurt Arsenal in the first leg of that tie, will be trying to go once again and prove that it was not just a fluke that they managed to defeat Arsenal at their home ground. And of course in that midfield, the likes of Vitinha, the likes of Ruiz, and of course the likes of the other players who managed to overrun that Arsenal midfield. And the one thing that I've come to realize, if Arsenal don't focus and maybe try to run things in that middle of the park, they normally struggle. And I think that Luis Enrique, with that experience that he have, I think that he managed to do a number on Mikel Arteta. Very good, interesting times, of course, in this world of football. Both tacticians are from, of course, a Spaniard, and they like to play around, knocking the ball around to try and opening that heart of Arsenal defense. And on the other hand, we've seen that Marquinhos have been rock solid in that heart of the defense for PSG. PSG. Well, where will this game be won? Where will the battle be won? It's going to be very interesting, especially in that middle of the park, because we have Vitinha and we have Fabian Ruiz, and it's going to be a very interesting match to see how Thomas Partey, of course, Declan Rice and Odegaard are going to cope with that PSG midfield. And I think on the flanks, I think that Martinelli will try to do better than he did in the first leg, because he had very good chances to put Arsenal ahead, or maybe the least, maybe to equalize that goal. But the one-on-ones, Donnarumma really stood tall and denied Arsenal an equalizer to level the matches. Bukayo Saka was very quiet in that match, and I think Mendes put Bukayo Saka on a very tight marking, and Bukayo Saka, of course, did not have a lot of influence. He did not control the match as we are normally used for Bukayo Saka, who is among one of the best Arsenal players to try and lock that PSG defense. And the likes of Saliba, of course, will have to stand up for Arsenal to try and overturn things round. Not only a few players, but I think if they are to get something out of this match between PSG, then they have to stand up and to be counted. Well, on the PSG side, I think the likes of, interesting to see how they're going to cope with Timber, and of course the likes of course Kiwior, who is also having a good season after replacing Magalhaes in the heart of that defense. Will Mikel Arteta maybe try and shake up things in that Arsenal squad? I think that the only changes that are going to have to happen in that Arsenal setup, I think, is that Merino will go back in that tip of the attack, and of course Thomas Partey will have to slot again in that midfield to try and see if they can control the proceedings in that middle of the park. So there are not going to be a lot of changes for both sides, and of course Luis Enrique will just have to keep relying on his charges that did duties just a few days ago at Emirates Stadium. So all the trust will be on the same players for both tacticians, who is going to have a ticket, of course, to the UEFA Champions League, same, of course, finals, keeping in mind that Barcelona and Inter Milan are also in contention, and the match ended in a stalemate of 3-3. Well, we are going to know this time around who is going to have a ticket, of course, to the UEFA Champions League finals. And Arsenal, when they started this Champions League, they were very convincing, and they gave a really good outing against Real Madrid, defeating them home and away, and many thought that this time round is the season that Arsenal may go all the way and lift this coveted trophy for the very first time in their history. Remember that the last time that Arsenal played in the UEFA Champions League final was way back in 2006, and again in the year of 2009 they were also in the semi-finals, but in those times Arsenal did not manage to break the duck. They did not manage to break the jinx of going all the way and lifting this title. PSG, on the other side, in their history, they have not also won this trophy. The closest they've ever come was in way back in 2020. That is about 5 years ago, when they managed to reach the final, which they were knocked out of it by, of course, Bayern Munich, and PSG lost that match by a solitary goal, which was scored by Coman. Well, it's going to be very interesting to see how tactics are going to play out, how tactics are going to unfold between these two great managers who are not afraid to attack and play that good brand of football. And Luis Enrique is a master, and Arteta on the other side is not a pushover. So we have only a few hours, and we are going to see which team is going to come out victor, of course, in this very crucial fixture. The fans are very awaiting, and they are waiting this match with the bated breath to know which team is going to win. And so many Arsenal fans are optimistic that, of course, Thomas Partey is making a comeback after he was booked in the match against Real Madrid, and it was in the second leg at Santiago Bernabeu. So many are hoping, and they are very optimistic that maybe Arsenal can cause an upset at PSG backyard. That is the Parc de France, but it's not going to be an easy outing, because PSG have an added advantage. They're playing at home and they'll be host against Arsenal. So expect fireworks, expect tackles, expect good brand of football, expect good defending, expect that captivating type of football, and also individual brilliance, because both teams have the players to do it on a bigger stage. Remember that Dembele has played for Barcelona, and it's one of the best teams that are currently available in the world of football. But Arsenal is not left behind, because Mikel Arteta has managed to assemble a well-oiled up machine, which has managed to cause some problems, especially also in the English Premier League. And currently, at the moment, Arsenal is at that second place position, just behind Liverpool. But the league is gone, and I think that Arsenal is going to push even harder to try and get a silverware and try to take something home. Remember that this is the 5th season that Arteta has managed to steer Arsenal to greater heights, and at the moment he has not won anything apart from the FA Cup that he won a few years back. But some are thinking that now this is the best stage for Arteta to step up and take Arsenal to even greater heights. Well, feel free also to give me your views and thoughts, and I'll be sure to sample them on my next show, as you also keep the tabs on the other semi-final fixture, pitting of course Inter Milan against Barcelona. So who is going to make it to the UEFA Champions League semi-final? Drop your comments and I'll be sure to sample it on our next show. Well, I've been your able host, Molo Collins. Let's do this again when we do meet. Keep subscribing, keep you viewing, and also keep commenting. As for me and the rest of my crew, it's bye-bye for now.